Hello and welcome to Untwisted Threads. This is Drops Karisma. This 100% superwash wool yarn features 49 colors. The colorway that we chose is Mix 73 Petrol. This 50 gram skein with 100 meters or 109 yards works up as a thicker DK weight yarn. The suggested gauge on a US 6 or 4 millimeter needles is 20 to 22 stitches per 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For our swatch, I'll be using a 4.5 millimeter needle size. In today's video, we're going to review and score Drops Karisma using our 4 categories, which are traction, softness, durability, and cost, to help you decide if this is the best yarn for you in your next project. Would you like to feel a sample of our top picks out of over 100 yarns that we reviewed on our channel? Click the link below to get your first month's free, specialty yarn card, knitting patterns, and more. Let's get started. Story time. When I first started knitting, I used acrylic, but I eventually wanted to branch into natural fibers. I had heard of Drops, and with their budget-friendly prices, I wanted to try some of their yarn. I was looking for a specific color and weight and landed with this one. Don't be like me and buy a yarn only because of the color you're looking for. I heard that superwash wool was softer and I loved that it was machine washable, so that was good enough for me and I bought a sweater's quantity of this. I felt like I was stuck with it, and yes, I still made a sweater pattern with it, but let's just say that 2 years later I haven't had the urge to work with this yarn again. But let me explain more. For traction, we give it a score of 3 out of 5. When figuring out what score to give a yarn from traction, I look at a few things. How does it glide on the needles, and how does it feel on my sensitive skin? For a beginner, I would say this would be a great yarn to get used to your needles. It has a pretty good amount of traction, but still had a little bit of slide too. At least as a beginner, that was one thing that I liked about it. When it comes to my sensitive skin, however, that's what slowed me down quite a bit when working with it. For softness, we give it a score of 3.9 out of 5. This 8-ply yarn was matte with not a lot of bounce. For being a superwash treated wool, it wasn't soft like I expected. For my sensitive skin, the irritation started at cast on, even still working with it now 2 years later. It did get softer after blocking, and I think that's what's keeping this yarn above my tolerance level score of a 3.7. But even after blocking, I was bummed that I wasn't able to wear my finished garment, and it was frogged. No, I'm not trying to be harsh, and perhaps I do have too sensitive of skin, but I'd rather work with a yarn that my skin agrees with, if you know what I mean. Rather than making my skin get used to being irritated just to work with a yarn, no thank you. For a comparison, after blocking, it is softer than Cascade Yarn's 220 and not quite as soft as Filcolana Peruvian. I'd say it's pretty comparable to Pearl Soho Good Wool. For a micron count or softness scale rating, we'd estimate it to be about a 27 or average for a Peruvian Highland wool. Now, Drops doesn't say specifically what type of wool this is made from, but we're almost certain it is a Peruvian Highland wool. Because it is superwash treated, that often adds some softness to the yarn too. So we can't give a proper explanation for the wool content in this yarn, but in general, garments made from wool are light and warm. It's not only insulating, but it also wicks moisture away from the body and retains heat even when wet, thanks to the structure of the fibers. For durability, we give it a score of 3.5 out of 5. If we are correct, the qualities of this yarn and Peruvian Highland wool allow it to have more strength and make it hardier than, for example, a soft merino yarn. This one is superwash treated, so it's able to withstand machine washing, something I personally look for in a yarn for gift or baby knits. When it came to our stress test, fabric to fabric, we noticed a lot more pilling than anticipated. It was a medium amount, but quite a bit and noticeable too. This is just something to keep in mind if you want to make something like a garment and its potential lifespan with repeated wear. For cost, we give it a score of 4.8 out of 5. For being a 50-gram skein, you can expect to pay $2.75 US per skein. This is also one of the main reasons I picked this yarn out 2 years ago. That breaks down to about 2 cents per yard, meaning a size medium sweater quantity would only cost about $25. Overall, we give Drops Karisma a score of 3.8 out of 5. If you're looking for a more rustic but not too much superwash treated yarn, this is it. My skin did get used to it after a while, but unfortunately it's just not a yarn that I would go out of my way to work with again. Have you used Drops Karisma yarn before? What yarn would you like for us to do a review on next? We would love to hear your thoughts and recommendations in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's review, please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.